He may as well have been waving the flag as he was crossing the line. He beat the bumper horse of last year, the exciting Novice chaser. Welcome back to the Let's Talk Racing YouTube channel in association with Racing TV. You're watching episode 1 of the Cheltenham Festival 2024 Cheltenham Ante Post series, and we're coming off the back of a weekend at Cheltenham and great racing at Nav, and looking forward to speaking about that. But Cheltenham this weekend, we're looking forward to the Cheltenham Festival. It's getting going. How was this weekend?
That was absolutely fantastic. Great to be back. My dad came over for the weekend, which is always a pleasure.
In the winners?
He was in the winners. I was yet again kind of scrounging away with losers aplenty. I thought it was a pretty tough weekend from a punting perspective, but it was great to be back. Great fun had there with mates, there with yourself, there with Jake and Dan, there with my dad. Saw a few people that obviously follow the videos, which was fantastic.
Yeah, big thanks to those coming up.
Oh, massively so. Still always very surreal, but great to talk racing. And yeah, we enjoyed ourselves to the fullest.
Yes, we did. We do hope you hopefully didn't see us on the Saturday night. We got a little bit carried away in the spirits out and about in the town.
We were enjoying ourselves, so that's for sure.
Yes, we did hit 500 likes on the previous video. So the previous video before that, we hit 400, which meant we're doing this video. Last week we hit 500. I think we actually got 600, which meant we had to give something away. Now, we're giving away 2 tickets to the Tuesday at the Cheltenham Festival. It's a big one. If you want to enter it, you've simply got to comment LTR Festival ticket. That's all it is. We're very simple over on Let's Talk Racing.
Yeah, we don't complicate the uncomplicated.
No, LTR Festival ticket in the comments below, and hopefully you can take a friend or a family member to the Cheltenham Festival, 2 of you, and have a great time. And you might see one of our selections win at the Cheltenham Festival in episode 1 of the Cheltenham Festival Ante Post series. If you do enjoy this video, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and do get your comments down below. LTR Festival ticket down below for your chance to enter, completely free. Right.
That's very exciting, by the way.
It is. Let's talk about the racing. Minella Missile beat Captain Teague on Friday in the Trusted Trading Officers Hurdle. I didn't expect it to happen. Is there any way Harry could have won on Captain Teague?
I don't think so, to be honest. I watched the race back. I thought he just looked sluggish, to be honest. I don't think he was ever really going that brilliantly. I think Harry was always a little bit, not behind it, but just, it was never really happening for him. Turning in, the big doyen was swinging. He seemed to be kind of the main danger. And then Adam Wedge, who'd kind of crept away, suddenly turned up on the doorstep on Minella Missile. He was impressive. Would I think the form is going to really establish itself come the back end of the season? Probably not. I think the proximity to the big doyen, as much as he's a fair horse, probably slightly takes away from that in terms of he might go down a handicap route. Captain Teague, what did you think? He looked a slow beast to me.
I think there's 2 things I took from it. Captain Teague will have to go up in trip. I think the River Don at Doncaster, what they ran Stay Away Fay in last year, is probably on the radar, which then again, and the second point is it opens up the shallow hurdle. Do they persist with Captain Teague? Hope it's pretty tacky ground and make it a real stamina test at Newbury. I'm still not saying that he couldn't win a race like that.
No.
But they've obviously got so many others. We might get onto one later who's going to go novice hurdling. But in the waterside, got the job done against a decent horse of JP's. On Dave, you could then go into that mould. They've got a few other options. So I think it definitely opens up the Paul Nicholls shallow hurdle horse for sure. And the next couple of weeks might be really vital with regards to that. Over on Saturday, the Triumph Hurdle Trial, Burdett Road won for Harry Cobden. I must admit, he dropped him out. He was jumping horrifically. And coming down the hill at the top, I'm going, he's not moved. I don't know what's going on. Then suddenly, between 2 out and the last, I've seen very few horses that quick through that period, especially juveniles, absolutely took off. And his jumping did get better at pace, and he hit the line really, really strong. I was really impressed. I think he's the horse who, if they can even rein him in 5% with how keen he can be, and just improve his jumping by 5% and just get it going a little bit better, I honestly think he would have a chance in March if the right conditions there. If it was a small enough Triumph Hurdle field, which it has been over the recent years, and it turned into a semi bit of a speed test. But no, I genuinely think he's really, really smart.
Yeah, I agree too. And I think just the way he managed, as you say, from the back of 2 out, you're thinking this horse is going absolutely nowhere, to win in the race by 7.5 lengths. I know people are crabbing the form in terms of, it's early season, British juvenile form. It usually doesn't stand up to the test of time. But I've seen people, on Twitter making comparisons between himself and like the Knight Salutes and scriptwriters of the world. That's a real disservice to this horse.
He's better than that.
He's won the race very easily. He was 10 lengths down on the second with kind of 50, 100 yards to the final flight, and he's beaten him 7.5. It was very, very impressive. My issue is it's not the speed, it's not the stamina, it's the jumping. And I know it's in November. That can improve. It should improve with time. I think they're only going to run one more time between now and March, but his jumping is deplorable.
It is. It's not very good at all. They're going to have to really fix it up if he is to win a Triumph Hurdle. And obviously you've got to look at Gordon, who hasn't really released much yet, maybe one that we're going to speak about later, and we've not seen any real juvenile of Willie's. So they will come out, inevitably, and will he be able to stand up to those? Maybe not, but I think he could easily be the best that we've got.
Oh, very much so, and I think it just goes back, I think it's not dissimilar to what we were saying maybe last week about the Mayor's Novice Hurdle market. Of course, Willie will have plenty of good juveniles. Gordon will have plenty of good juveniles. But we haven't seen them yet.
Yeah.
So therefore, this horse, I think he's very fairly priced at 7-1 based off what he's achieved, given that he's put down the marker for this division. It may not be the marker come March, but it is the marker now.
I was very impressed by Stage Star as well, who seems to have recaptured his novice hurdle form after an interesting novice chase campaign, especially early on. He obviously got it going towards the back end of the campaign. But to win that race, almost off top weight, in the fashion that he did, under a great jumping display and a great ride from Harry Cobden, I thought was good. I think he's still going to struggle to win a Ryanair. He's put up £11 to 166, which puts him in the picture. I'm not too sure if he's going to do something like that, but he was good.
I thought he was really good. Yeah, I thought he was really good. Good to see the Turner's form kind of last the test of time as well. I thought the second ran a very good race. Probably doesn't quite get home over 2.5. Not long till May. At Cheltenham, he's probably a 2.5 mile Aintree horse. If anything was to happen to Allaho, for instance, and Allaho wasn't to run in the Ryanair, I don't see what horse is beating Stage Star.
Very confident, love that. Stella Story over at Navan made his hurdling debut. I thought he was very good. He's an Albert Bartlett horse all over, a proper 3 mile chaser, and I think a classy one as well.
Yeah, I think he's got a bit more speed than maybe a few of the other horses we've seen come out in that division. I think he's got a bit of class, and I would say he might go down that route of maybe running in the 3 mile grade 2 at Limerick time, which Gordon has targeted with Bartlett horses in the past.
Yeah, I think he's definitely a Bartlett horse, and it's interesting to see that form stack up with an Atlantique as well a couple of weeks ago. Captain Guinness beat Dysart Dynamo. Dysart Dynamo just too keen, and Captain Guinness being too professional.
I'd say so. Captain Guinness knows what he's doing in these types of races. Now, I've burnt my fingers trying to think that he'll kind of go on from seasonal reappearances to win grade 1s. He usually comes up short. Dysart Dynamo, you can maybe give him, a forgiveness that it was his first run of the season, but he's becoming expensive to follow, and he wouldn't be a horse I'd be in a great rush to be backing.
No, Captain Guinness' next target is the Tingle Creek. Bob Olinger was back. Big Bad Bob. Is he Big Bad Bob, or was it a weak race?
I thought he did it very well. He battled, which he doesn't tend to do.
No.
Him and Zana here were kind of both putting their head down. It was very interesting to see. Not sure the form is all that brilliant, but it doesn't have to be in that division, really. We've talked long and hard about the Stayers Hurdle, and we will talk long and hard about the Stayers Hurdle potentially later on in this episode, but he's a good horse, Bob. I think he's a very hard horse to place. I don't think he stays 3 miles.
No.
If you were to look at a race, would you potentially look at maybe an Aintree Hurdle or something like that as a big spring target?
But Connections have also got Irish Point.
Yeah, no, he's a terribly hard horse to place, I reckon.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's a grade 2 horse, and I think he's probably 2.5 miler as well. So, yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me. I know people have said, he'll never go back chasing. The only thing I would say is that the 2.5 mile at grade 2, grade 3 circuit in Ireland over fences is an awful lot more opportunities than there is over hurdles. So I wouldn't put it out of bounds that just almost to keep this horse running in races, they're going to have to go back over fences at some stage.
Yeah, he's a slightly classier Oscar Whiskey, I think. He just had 2.5 miler. Maybe they could go for a rail kill. I don't know. Go over to Cheltenham for something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not impossible. Facile Vega made his chasing debut in what looked a mouth-watering beginner's chase. In the Pocket, who won the Grade 1 at Aintree, did finish behind him in the Supreme, and St. Felicien was in there. A few others, really smart ones. Jumping, room to work on, did it reasonably well. The talking point is in the Pocket. People saying he wasn't off or this and that. What do you think?
Yeah, it was a strange run. It was a strange ride as well. Didn't seem to get the hardest time of things, but Facile Vega's won on the bridle. And what you want to make about his jumping, I thought it got a lot better as the race went on. He still won on the bridle, and the second horse is a Grade 1 winner, and the third horse has been a big hype horse for Gordon for many a year now, and is probably a Grade 2, Grade 3 beast. And Spallan's Tower back in fourth, that I'd be very, very shocked if he doesn't win a big handicap come the end of the season. I think it's red hot form. He did it very nicely. He won very easily. And again, he's put down the marker.
Yeah, I was very impressed. Again, jumping can improve, but his first round of offences, I'll forgive him. In the Pocket, I think 2.5 miles might see him's best effect. I know they're going to stick it to, but
I would say so. I can't see. I think they're kind of beating their head off a brick walls, keeping him at 2.
Yeah, the bumper. Thought it was good.
Yeah, I thought it was a hot piece of form. The Spring de la Mer was very good for Gavin Cromwell. My trump card, I'd say we'll go back now. Hurdling for Gordon Elliott, for Bective Stud. He'll win races. And Apples of Brazil, I know Barry Connell and Mikey O'Sullivan were very keen on him. He ran a very good race. Now co-owned by Tim O'Driscoll as well, which is interesting. I think he now goes to a maiden hurdle. I would say all three of them could win a maiden hurdle next time out.
Jonbon, Sunday. Proper performance, that was.
Very impressive. I couldn't have asked for anything more. He does, I know it's very easy to say, the way he jumps and the way he travelled down the back straight was just, it reminded me of Duvan in the 2018 Champion Chase, where you've got a designated front runner and he's not necessarily wanting to make the running, but he's jumping so well and travelling so well that he ends up kind of bursting the bubble of the front runner at 4 out. He's just got so much natural pace in the middle part of his races. He couldn't have been any better. I worry about him. It's not a staying thing, but he's just... I don't think he relishes the hill.
No, I don't think he relishes the hill. I'll be completely honest. I thought him and Nico de Boinville were a match made in heaven. Nico just knows how to get those horses jumping beautifully. He's obviously sat on Sprinter Sacras, he's sat on Altiors, he's sat on Shishkins, and I don't think, and this isn't criticism to Aidan Coleman, I just think Nico gets on with him better, and I think it's no surprise that we've probably seen a personal best there by Jonbon under the hands of Nico de Boinville. He just knew when to let him go, when to sit, when to pop. I thought it was a really, really, really nice ride, and I just thought they got on really well, and I would love to see them keep that relationship. I struggle to see it happening because JP's a very loyal man and Aidan Coleman isn't a bad jockey, but I would love to see Nico on him. I really would.
Yeah, no, he makes very few mistakes on those good horses, Nico.
He does, and he didn't make a mistake on Iberico Lord in the Greatwood Hurdle again.
I wish he had.
A beautiful, beautiful ride. Beat Lookaway. I thought he ran very, very well. Again, I think he'd keep galloping over 2.5 miles, maybe a Lanzarote or something like that for him. But Iberico Lord, he's a horse going places.
Yeah, very much so. Wouldn't surprise me if he turned up in a county hurdle come March. He's an improver. He's an impressive horse. He could well be a graded horse in time. Lookaway ran a super race. At all stages, I was actually really happy. One of those races, he jumps so well, he kind of travels well, and he finds, and he's just been beaten by a horse that was a bit of a rick, unfortunately. I think if Lookaway was off 122, he'd won the race. He's off 132, he's come second. I suspect he'll go up to 138, 139. They're more than entitled to go back to graded novice hurdles with him.
Yeah, maybe. I would tinker with going up in trip, I think.
Yeah. That's fair enough.
Even a shallow wouldn't put it off them.
Well, actually, that's a good point.
Brecon Castle won the bumper for Ben Brookhouse, and I had a little bit more of an interest in this race because I put up Fireflower as a horse to follow for Paul Nicholls. I was genuinely, I know he finished second, he didn't win the race, I was over the moon with it. So first of all, I've actually got a clip here of how big he is in comparison. So he goes on under Harry Cobden, and he is an enormous beast. I must say, I've fallen in love with this horse big time. No. He is the next Nicholls horse that I'm going to have a loving for, and a heavy, heavy bias.
Lord above.
Proper heavy bars. I was really impressed with him because he made all and listed bumper at Cheltenham. It's really hard to do. And then just a very quick horse went and passed him. But he battled, he was tough, he was game. I really like it. He's going to go novice hurdling now. I'm really excited to see where he can go. Might not be a Cheltenham Festival horse, but it wouldn't surprise me if he could mix it at Grade 1 level at Aintree. Over at Navan, Gordon Elliott released a smart juvenile for Rob Court in Carla Conti. I actually think that she could be the Grade 3 Fairy House horse at Hatton's Grace weekend meeting. She was very good, and I would say that Gordon might struggle to have a better one than her. And there's a bit of talk about Cashildale Lad being a potential for a Boodles. I think he's 16-1 for a race like that. I think he maybe campaigned in the graded races, and he just wants to keep an eye on Cashildale Lad for a Boodles. But Carla Conti, I was impressed with her. I thought she was good. Croke Park won the 2.5 mile novices hurdle. Slow horse, Bartlett horse.
Yeah, I'd say so. I think this horse probably gets a bit of stick for being a bit slow. I quite like the way he goes about it, to be honest. He's a tough horse, puts his head down, he's a pretty good jumper. Again, he's a 3-miler, he's a 3-mile chaser in time. Whether we're going to see the peak of him this year, not so sure, but he'll be a very good horse and he'll win plenty of races. Wouldn't surprise me if he wins another graded race this year.
He's back.
He's back.
American Mike. We were at Cheltenham, and honestly, I could have played the American national anthem as he was going about his business.
It was one of the all-time greatest things I've ever watched. We were in the William Hill shop on course just to watch this race, and you were giving a running commentary. He wins, he's back. And then around 10 yards after the second last, Factor Fog comes up. Oh, he hates the game. He's gone. Oh, he's back. Go on, Jack. Go on, Jack. Go on, Mike.
And then suddenly he may as well have been waving the flag as he was crossing the line. He beat the bumper horse of last year, the exciting novice chaser everyone was thinking was going to be a superstar, couldn't be beat. Patrick Mullins is now even talking about him as a national hunt chase horse. It was that devastating, and he lost to the great American Mike. I just want to salute him. What a wonderful horse he is. And it was a pleasure seeing American Mike back.
Yeah, you've absolutely lost the class, I'm afraid.
He is just a lovely horse, one of my favourites. And you have to celebrate these small wins in life. That's
you do.
An important thing. Good to see him back.
Yeah, you got an awful lot of satisfaction. I can see why. He jumped very well as well.
I mean, if he never wins another race, would it surprise me? No. But we're going to live the dream for as long as possible. What do you think of the second?
Yeah, a little bit disappointing for me. I don't think the champion bumper form will end up amounting to as much as people may think it will.
Few people saying it's good.
You're trying to rattle me by saying that. You know I don't think that's the case. If you're running in a Cheltenham bumper...
I'm not saying that.
Well, no, you're trying to rattle me though. But if you're running in a champion bumper, you realistically would have won a bumper. Therefore, you should be winning a maiden hurdle at this time of the year. The fact that 7th, 8th, 9th have been winning a maiden hurdle doesn't classify the champion bumper as good form. It gets classified by how they end up running in the Grade 1 novice hurdles.
Yeah, certain Twitter accounts saying it was very good form and that we should all be getting excited about it, as if no champion bumper runner has ever won a maiden hurdle before. Qualamita for Gordon Elliott was beaten in the bumper by night. What do you think of this?
Yeah, I think the mare's good for Gavin Cromwell. 2 big bumper winners for him. He's had a fantastic start to the season. Qualamita looked a little bit slow. I think they'll be happy enough with how she ran. She was a drifter on the day. The horse that only by night beat down in Limerick is a Paul Nolan mare called Euphoria, who they quite like at home. It's been tough to train. I think she'll win next time out, so one to maybe keep on side.
Yeah, interesting one of those with the Gordons. Obviously, we touched on Carla Conti earlier. Cashildale Lad as a horse to follow. I think Romeo Coolio is going to stay in bumpers. I think he might even be Gordon's best bumper horse. Obviously, Brighter Days Ahead is the best mare he's got. And I'd say Firefox would be his best 2.5 mile novice hurdler as well. So just a few little bits of bobs and nuggets and stuff like that. Let's talk about racing this weekend before we do go into our Ante Post selections. A couple of big talking points. the Betfair Chase sees Brave Man's Game running, and am I going to Haydock Park? Of course I am, and I cannot wait.
That's fantastic.
I cannot wait.
Well, no, you could wait, because actually on Monday you were berating me. Why is Paul doing this?
Why is he running?
Why is he doing it?
Well, I still stand by
Why
that.
is he doing it?
I don't know why he is running, but he is, and we're going to see him.
I thought you were the race planner for BMG.
If I was, he'd be going straight to Kempton. I must admit, a little bit confusing. I think Paul had this plan that he was going to go to the Charlie Hall because the ground could be horrible at Haydock. It doesn't look like it's going to be that horrible compared to what it can be there. But I didn't expect him to run at both. I think he just sees his horse as the next Conti, the next, not saying he's as good as Corto Star, but that kind of horse is going to go to the well in all the big grade 1-3 mile chases, and he's decided to do it. He's looked at the race and he's gone, Protectorat's 1-2. At worst comes to worst, if he gets round, he's going to finish second to a hard fit Protectorat, beating Royal Pagaille and Corret Rambler. I think he probably beat Protectorat, especially as he's had a run. I just really, really hope it doesn't damage his King George chances.
I don't think it will, to be honest. I think really probably what swayed Paul here is, as you say, the standard of the race. Shishkin's not going to run realistically. No Irish raider of note. Like the race is there for the taking. Brave Man's Game. You'd like to think, having had to run in the Charlie Hall, even though Protectorat will be hard fit, he should be beating him, and I think he will beat him. What that does to his King George chance, I'm not sure. I think he's just the best horse, though.
Yeah. Big talking point around it is why Harry Cobden isn't riding. I think it's very much a case of Pic D'Orhy was meant to run in the Charlie Hall. That plan was changed. They were going to see, does he stay 3 miles? I think they're thinking about a King George with him as well. That plan changed because they decided Brave Man's Game was going to go there instead. At that point, I think what would have probably happened is Paul would have promised De La Haye, the owner of Pic D'Orhy, that he would go to Ascot, and Harry Cobden would definitely ride, maybe promised him that he was going to ride, because they didn't see a world of Brave Man's Game then ran in a Betfair Chase on the same day. Paul Nicholls has stuck to his word. Pic D'Orhy goes to Ascot. They've also got Welcome to Cartrees, a couple of exciting horses, novices, that Harry can ride throughout the day for, again, De La Haye, the owner. And I think Paul is probably sticking to his guns, sticking to what he's promised the owner. And as a result, they didn't expect Brave Man's Game to be running at Haydock, but he is. So they found Daryl Jacob. I like the idea that Daryl's on. No disrespect to Logan Williams and Bryony Frost, but Daryl Jacob has won the Betfair Chase on multiple occasions, knows what it takes to win the horse, to win, has been riding out at Paul's, obviously got a good relationship there, won some big races for Paul, so I like it. I obviously would prefer Harry Cobden on. I can understand why people say it would be strange, but it's a team game, and I don't blame Harry Cobden at all. Well, I don't blame Harry Cobden at all, I don't blame Paul Nicholls at all, I don't blame Daryl Jacob at all.
No.
I don't think he's been jocked off. He will be riding him in the King George.
Oh, very much so, yeah. No, it's just one of those that I think there are times in the game where you probably have to just do, you have to know where your bread's buttered.
Yeah.
And there's a much bigger picture than one horse in the yard. I know he's the best horse in the yard, but he'll be back on him, for every other run that he's involved. And he's probably going to be in a situation where he will have he'll pick Brave Man's Game, but like Pic D'Orhy and Brave Man's Game very much will turn up in a King George, I'd say. I think Pic D'Orhy will run very, very well on Saturday.
Yeah, Shishkin's running this weekend, Galopin de Champs running in Ireland this weekend, we've got the Morgiana. It looks a really nice weekend of racing and some exciting novices in there as well. Looking forward to seeing and reviewing that next week. But now it's time for our Cheltenham Ante Post selection. Selection 1, no pressure. Who are you going for?
Well, I'm going and taking a swipe, 33-1.
33-1.
A big price.
Big price.
In a market that I think has been talked about an awful lot because it's not very good. I think the ones at the top of the market are there to be got at, and it is the Stayers Hurdle. I thought going into the season I had this big plan in my head that Maximilian was going to win the Stayers Hurdle. That's gone by the wayside, horses, unfortunately. He's enjoying his recovery, but he's not going to be around this year. You've got Tupo at the top of the market. Worthy favourite, but not unbeatable.
No, proved that last year.
Got a horse in France, is Thelemi. Everyone doesn't have a clue.
No.
I'm sorry.
could be a very, very smart horse, but we've not seen him.
Horse could win the Stairs Hurdle 10 lengths, but also people told me that Milantino would win the juvenile trial on Saturday by 10 lengths, and he's still running.
Yeah.
So it doesn't always add up. I've gone down through the form. I think there's plenty of horses that are maybe running, maybe not running. And I think there's one horse that just has to run in the race now, and he actually ran at the weekend. He won at the weekend, over 3 miles at Cheltenham, and it's a horse called Buddy1. Now, what people will look at me, they'll think...
What price is he?
He's 33 to 1.
Okay.
People will look at me thinking I'm doolally because I'm putting up a Paul Gilligan trained horse for the Stairs Hurdle. I know Paul's a very shrewd trainer, but he's not necessarily one we're going to associate with Cheltenham Grade 1s. My rationale being, he's now rated 152 in Ireland. He hasn't been reassessed in England, but he won that handicap off 147. He won it easily. He tanked into the race. He probably got to the front a little bit too soon, idled in front, won by a length and a half, 10 lengths back to Chantry House, who's also off 147, back in third. He's gone to Cheltenham one time before that. He ran in the Martin Pipe last year, hit the front at 2 out again, slightly idled on the way to the last, and came third. I know it was very disappointing to see Iroko out for the season, and I'm not saying he was going to be as good as Galopin Des Champs or anything, but he could have been your Grade 1 chaser in the Martin Pipe. No Ordinary Joe's not a bad horse in second. There were good horses in behind, the likes of Imagine. He's going to be a graded novice chaser. Firm Footing's the same. So I don't think that's a bad piece of form whatsoever. He's been kept busy. He was second then at the Aintree Festival behind Feather Cross, who they thought well enough to run in a Supreme and was a Grade 2 winner earlier in the season. And he's been kept going over the summer, but it seems that when he's been sent now to these slightly more staying trips, he won it over 2 miles 6 at Galway 2 starts ago, and he won at Cheltenham over 3 miles. He's now in a situation he can't run in handicaps. We clearly see that the trainer has no issue in running this horse at Cheltenham. He's a hardy horse, he's 6 going 7, so there still could be plenty of improvement to come. Now, the one thing that I didn't necessarily like is that Paul Gilligan, I think, has got, he's seeing the lights. And he said after the race that the next stop is the Hatton's Grace. Now, if there's a minute chance that Paul's watching this, I don't think that should be the plan.
So, if anyone knows Paul, what would you like to say to him?
I would say perhaps maybe reconsider. And I think that the thing that should be done, given his Cheltenham form, is you run this horse in the Cleve Hurdle. You've got then a bit of and you could run in the Cleve Hurdle and you could come last, and I'll be there in the mud, and it could be 333 to 1 and nobody would back it. But I don't see how, when you look at the English 3-milers, how he wouldn't run well in a Cleve Hurdle, given the way he's improving. And if he runs well in a race like that, you're more than entitled to turn up to a Stairs Hurdle. It's a race that it's begging for something to come out of left field. It's absolutely begging. And it reminds me of the year that Paisley Park won the race, in terms of it's looking for something. You've got older horses, not at their best, horses coming back from chasing. I don't really ever like that angle myself at Grade 1 level. And Paisley Park was running this weekend many years ago in the Fixed Brush Handicap Hurdle at Haydock. Ended up winning the Stairs Hurdle by 2 lengths. It's perhaps wishful thinking, but I think there is slight method behind the madness, and Paul Gilligan's going to do it. I've made my name for following another slightly middling Irish trainer by the name of Paul, but it's going to be Mr. Gilligan that's going to bring me to the big lights.
Well, I think that the Hatton's Grace against Imperi Pass would be a tricky enough one.
Interesting.
The one thing I would say is it must be a positive that he's thinking Grade 1 next with him, and if he's going to run in a Grade 1 at Cheltenham, it's not going to be the Champion Hurdle, it's going to be the Stairs Hurdle, so he might get a run regardless, and obviously he's won that handicap of a big way. He's going to go up in the weights for that. I don't hate it at all. That race is completely open. We've said that for a couple of weeks, and he's a 33 to 1 shot, but you're not putting up the fav. He probably is a 33 to 1 shot. He might be shorter after his next run, wherever that may be. But he likes Cheltenham, you know that for sure. He's got good form last year at the festival, and he's improving.
Yeah, I just think, I'm not saying by any means he's a rick at 33 to 1, but he's going to be, as I say, 152 in Ireland, which means he'll probably be 154, 155 in England. I think that leaves him £10 short.
Yeah.
currently, but he's an improving horse and he's only 6 going 7 and he's won his last 2 and he seems to be unexposed at this trip. That's my case.
My first Cheltenham Ante Post selection comes in a novice hurdle.
Oh, yeah.
A novice hurdle.
Give me a price.
25 to 1.
Oh!
25 to 1, I know. Maybe some people would have thought prior to Days Ahead would have been over for the safe option, a horse I really like, I've spoken about before, but that's not the case. And it feels a little bit as if I'm cheating on a bit of a favourite in Ballyburn. Now, I need to explain him before I explain. He's not obviously 25 to 1. No. Before I explain my thinking.
You're taking on your love child.
Yeah, I think he's the most exciting horse going novice hurdle and going into the campaign. But we've not seen him.
We haven't.
Doesn't mean he's not going to be a superstar. We haven't seen him, and he is currently making pretty much all of the novice hurdle markets. He's the short price favourite for the Ballymore. He's up there in the betting for the Supreme as well. He had an entry this week over 2 miles. And I hate admitting when I could be wrong. But I do agree, and I've come round to the fact that he could stay at 2. He could win over 2. I've not seen a really quick Mullins novice hurdler yet. Redemption Day's obviously got to come out. But he could easily then go and run in the grade 1 2 mile race at Christmas, the novice hurdle. If that happens, then I know Sir Gerhard won there and stuff. Well, no, it doesn't mean he couldn't go up in trip. It wouldn't be impossible, but I think it's likely that he could dominate over that distance and therefore not have to go up in trip. So if you look at the Ballymore, there are so many different horses in there who I don't particularly love. There are some big price horses because Ballyburn is so short. The couple of horses who I think would be interesting outside of the horse I'm about to put up would be maybe the Firefox, 25 to 1, Il Atlantique, 25 to 1. There's some interesting horses who could develop into that Ballymore horse for the big trainers. But I'm going to take a swipe on a horse I've seen who I think was good over an inadequate trip, and I could potentially plan his season. And that is Slade Steel for Rob Corr and Henry de Bromhead at 25 to 1 for the Ballymore Novices Hurdle. Now, explaining my reason, we've seen him once this season, but I want to go back to last year where he did finish 3rd to Ballyburn at the Punchestown Festival. And I think it's interesting to know, I don't think he'd have beat him under any circumstances that day, but he was wide of all. He had to go the long way around the bend, and he was always plugging on, staying on well. I think he just got beat by a very good horse, and I would back him to reverse the form with the second, especially after he was disappointing the other day. So that's my thinking there with regards to bumper form last year. I think there is a chance Slade Steel could be in the top 4 bumper horses ran last year. My opinion, don't kill me for it. Then we've seen him once this season, up against King of Kingsfield, a horse I like, at Naas, over 2 miles. King of Kingsfield, they think he's a speed horse who travelled into it best. Slade Steel had to get down and dirty and really grind it out. But King of Kingsfield had the run, Slade Steel hadn't, and the further he went, the better he was. I think that screamed going up in trip with him. What I liked is it was at Naas. And that brings me on to my next point. I think this horse, early season target, would be the Lawlers of Naas. I can see him going up in trip. Connections have won the race with Bob Olinger. And I think there is a chance that he could go off, potentially favourite, or a short price for a race like that. If Ballyburn stays at 2, it won't be him. So it could be an Il Atlantique, it could be a Firefox, but Slade Steel on ability has shown just as much as those two, in my opinion. And I like the fact he's won over a shorter trip. We know he's got speed. I think staying is his game, but he doesn't lack pace. He's won at the track. I think if he was to go and win a Lawlers of Naas, or go really well in the Lawlers of Naas, he's instantly, 10 to 1 shot for the Ballymore, especially if Ballyburn's staying at 2. I like it. 25 to 1. If Ballyburn runs in the Supreme, in the Ballymore and everything goes well, he might be really tough to beat. But I'm going to take a punt that Slade Steel could be a big contender and could be a single figure price on the day at 25s and might have the ability to win the race.
Yeah, I like that.
So Slade Steel for me is numero uno selection. Any best bets for this weekend?
No, 2, I'm going to be keeping a firm eye on our Xander Clegane in the Florida Pearl. Hopefully it looks like a barnstormer of a race, flooring Porter, Affordale Fury himself, Quilixios, Should be a great race, but I hope he'll run really well. And one I'll be keeping on side in the exact same colours with the exact same trainer. I'm going to be giving a big chance to Yentong Enki. He's entered in 3 or 4 maiden hurdles between Cork and Punchestown. Would just look past the last day at Roscommon. He was one of the most impressive point-to-point winners of the entirety of last season. He was bought for big money privately. He had mucus in the system after his run at Roscommon. That's all been cleared out. Works like a very, very good horse, and I'll be very shocked if he doesn't go very close.
There we go. We do hope you enjoyed this weekend, this week's video. If you did, please hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and do like this video and get your LTR ticket, LTR festival ticket down in the comments. And yeah, we look forward to reading those. See you soon.